Some people said, well, I kind of feel like a robot when I speak on camera. Other people said I'm really monotonous, or maybe I get really nervous in front of a camera. I'd love it if we could get a sense of what we could help with today, whether it has something to do with confidence, or with nervousness, or with your voice, or with camera. If you could just type in the chat, what's one thing you struggle with, or one thing you really wish you could get better, so that we can spend time in this session on it. Let's see what we're getting on here. I have many ews and ahs, and it's not, find it hard to do. Cool. So we've got sounding more exciting, confidence, not being so monotonous, clarity of thoughts, making lots of mistakes, confidence, and feeling natural. That's a really big one. I think the premise of ultra speaking, for anybody that's not familiar, is that speaking is such a natural process. We do it all the time. We do it with our friends, we do it with our families. And for the most part, it goes really well. We're not thinking too much about it. But when we get in front of a camera or in front of an audience, suddenly, yeah, I'm getting a few head nods, like from Gina or Zhenya. It's like, yeah, all of a sudden, what happens? Why is it so much more difficult in this situation? And that's really what we want to discover today is how do we overcome these nerves? How do we make speaking return to normal even when the stakes are high? And hopefully how do we trust ourselves a little bit more in the moment so that some of the things you're writing here, like getting out of your head or not rambling or speaking off the cuff, well, how do you make all of this sound quite natural? Anything interesting you see here, Tristan, in the chat?
Fascinating. I still have 52 messages to read. This is crazy. Well, I see a few interesting categories here. I see a lot of people talking about voice, pacing, flow, monotony, boring. Then I see um, there's always the ums and ahs, tripping over words kind of category, the likes and so's. And then yeah, there's this idea of feeling unnatural. I read one up there that that struck me. Someone said I get overly excited and it doesn't feel authentic, which is something we've seen a lot of, and that's really interesting to me. I'd be curious to get a yes/no answer to the following question. When the pressure's on, whatever that means to you, do you enjoy speaking? Yes, no.
Oh, nice mix. So let's take it one step further then. Uh, fucking love. I love who said that. If you do enjoy speaking under pressure, tell us why. Let's get an understanding of why. Why do you enjoy if it's yeah, I feel alive, adrenaline, flow state. Yeah, there's this buzz, focus, challenge brings out the best. Interesting. And so now let's hear from the other side. If you don't enjoy pressure, if speaking is not enjoyable under pressure, tell us why. I feel stressed, I lose clarity, I trip up, I freeze, I blank. Yeah. Yeah. So how is it that you can have the same question, the same circumstances and two very different responses? What we're here to do today is to understand why some people enjoy pressure and understand what are some things we can do to operate more effectively under pressure, to be able to access that flow state, to get out of your head, to not worry so much about the mistakes and to know what we do when we blank or stumble or freeze. So we're going to play some games today with you all. And through the games we're going to learn well I don't know what we're going to learn exactly. Each class is very different. But with your interaction and participation and with some demonstrations, we're going to learn some things about speaking, about mindset, and about confidence that hopefully we can apply directly to what you're doing with PTYA and beyond. So Tristan, if you're ready, I'd love to start with confidence, which seems to be a really, really big topic for people. And I'd love to demonstrate this game called Rapid Fire Analogies and see if we could have any volunteers who would want to give it a shot and see whether or not they can thrive under pressure. Sound good?
Seeing some fascinating answers or questions around, well, why is it? People trying to venture into answering your question of why is it that certain people enjoy speaking? And not only that, when they think about speaking under pressure, it's like this is fun, it's a challenge, I have a sense of release.
Mm.
I get a rush. It makes I make my thoughts clearer. So certain people are able to have pressure be a competitive advantage for them. I'm always better under pressure. And all are crushed by the pressure. And so there's some interesting reactions here. Some people are saying introvert versus extrovert. I saw someone say maybe it has a difference with there's a difference with your upbringing. What I, regardless of where it comes from, everybody, every single person who wrote no in the chat has the ability to turn no into a yes. We see that every single day at Ultraspeaking. People who come in and say, I'm going to be your hardest case. For me, it's impossible. I just want to make this tolerable. I just want to be able to speak and not freeze every time. I'm I'm a lost cause. And every single one of them ends up with the surprising insight, maybe that, or realization at one point of like, I'm actually starting to like this. This is something I was not expecting. So the real difference between a no and a yes to me can always be traced back. So if you look back at your childhood, there's a moment for every single no here. There's a moment where you had a bad experience speaking. Maybe it was in high school and you had to go up in front of the whole class and you started speaking and you froze, or you hated the way you felt. And that sent you on a path. Whereas the other person who went up there and for some reason the universe conspired to make that moment delightful for them or exhilarating. The difference between nervousness and excitement is really in the mind. It's the same thing that goes through your body. It's somebody felt it as this is exciting and thrilling. Maybe they were terrible, it doesn't matter, but they felt it as, ooh, this is something, this is a ride that I want to get back onto. And another person said, I never want to come close to this again. And so now we have two different divergent paths. One person is constantly looking for these moments where they can experience that again and get better and more familiar and more comfortable. And the other person is avoiding as much as possible. And so now we have two different worlds. One that is very familiar with all of these feelings of pressure and that has found all kinds of techniques to navigate through that and use pressure to the advantage, and other people who are just unfamiliar with that environment. And for them, well, the pressure just triggers. It's too high. Too much happens. Now imagine that your brain just goes into hyperdrive when it's time to speak or before, and there's just so much noise in the back of your mind that there's really no space to think or anything like that. So I just want to say that there's a path for these to rejoin. Those who already enjoy speaking can break through to the next level, a glorious level where you need very, very little preparation, if any, where you can optimize for freedom, where you can just tune your brain and your mind to be able to excel under pressure with literally no preparation, access all of your best ideas riding the pressure in front of you. But for
Mm.
everyone else, it's not, these are not two different categories. There's just a range from here to here, and you're somewhere on that range. And somewhere on that range, there's the tipping point that goes from no to yes. So before we jump into all of this, I just want us to integrate that. And if you're part of the category that struggles with speaking and thinks it's not for you, I hope I can give you some hope, because we've been doing this for 4 years. Our single focus, the only thing we think about day in and day out. And I still haven't found someone that we haven't been able to get from a no to a yes. A person who wanted it and wasn't able to get there, I still haven't found that. So if you want it, it's there for you. But it does take a little bit of a leap of faith.
Well, maybe we try and find that person today. Maybe by seeing somebody go from a no to a yes, we might be able to demonstrate some of the principles of what it takes to embody that type of mindset. So this might be a little bit crazy, but is there anybody out there who does not enjoy speaking that would like to by the end of this session? This is nerve-wracking. Okay. Um, cool. Let's pick someone. Um, let's pick the person who hasn't said me yet, who's still on the fence, really wants to, but is still unsure. Haider Hafid. Can you unmute yourself for a second?
Oh, damn.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your relationship with speaking?
All right, so I am probably going to be your lost cause. When I was young, I used to have a list. So what I found was when I used to talk to people who were close to me, like my friends, they were fine. But then when I talk in a group of people, that those same friends would end up laughing. So I feel like over time, I ended up getting really nervous when I spoke to a big group of people, like I am now.
Hmm. Well, let's do experiment number one. Do you notice that Haider is nervous? Type yes or no in the chat.
It feels like therapy. It really does.
Haider, what do you mostly see in the chat?
Differences. So yes, no, a little bit.
Yeah, which do you think is the majority here?
Probably yes.
I'm not sure about that. To me, it seems like the majority is saying no, 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 a little, a bit. No, 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 a little. Not really, a bit. And maybe that little bit.
I feel a bit lightheaded. That's how nerve-wracking it is.
Yeah, yeah. So what you feel on the inside, totally normal, is not what people see on the outside. And that's principle number one. Why are there so many no's in the comments? Why are there so many people who can't tell that you're nervous?
Is this a question to me?
No, it's just a question to everybody. We see this over and over again, that most people can't tell that you're nervous unless you tell them. And most people who feel nervous feel this incredible urge to to tell others because it's so uncomfortable to be nervous that we almost feel like we need to get it off our chest. And that's how people can tell is, well, you gave it away. But if we just don't tell people, most would just think you're confident, you're normal, you're like everybody else. Except the secret's everyone else is pretty nervous too when it's their turn. So that's rule number one is if you're nervous, don't tell anyone. It's the fastest way to overcome nervousness is having a go at it, having nobody tell that you're nervous, and pretty soon you realize, nobody could tell. Let's go and yeah, go ahead, Tristan.
I was just going to say, telling is not necessarily with words. We have one rule in Ultraspeaking. It comes from acting, but it's never break character. Never break character means what you feel on the inside, you keep it on the inside, unless you deliberately choose to share it. Because if I'm kind of like this and I'm fidgeting, whatever I'm saying, I'm showing you that I'm nervous, right? But if I'm willing to stay into what I'm saying, then you can't tell. If I pause, well, you don't know if I blanked or if I paused for effect, or if I'm pausing because I'm looking to be more thoughtful in what I'm sharing. So what I'm saying is staying in character has to happen with your whole being. We don't say things that show that we're nervous. We don't end sentences and I'm like, I guess I kind of messed up. Or I don't know if I'm making sense here. You can say that in two different ways. You can say, I'm not sure I'm making sense here, so let me try and go a little bit deeper. That's saying the same thing with confidence, but I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm making any sense here. Now we're edging on nervousness. So the rule we have for the whole day right now, for the whole hour and a half, is we don't break character. We stay in character. And what we notice if we practice this, and I read somebody mention breakout rooms. If you have breakout rooms, you have a huge amount of opportunities to test this out.
Yeah.
Stay in character when you're nervous, and you're going to see that nobody can pick up on it.
So the first thing we're going to do with Hyder is we're going to get him to speak more confidently in about 5 to 15 minutes. We're going to check out his speaking. We're going to measure a baseline. Then we're just going to get him to speak more confidently. And through the process of this first game, what we're going to do is we're going to discover that speaking confidently does not depend on anything. We can all access confidence on command. And we all know how to do it. That's what we want to demonstrate. So, Hyder, are you ready to play with us?
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to kick off a game called Rapid Fire Analogies. So, Tristan's going to demonstrate rapid fire analogies really quickly for us. The way it works is really simple. I'm going to hit start training, and you're going to get these random starts of sentences on the fly. And what's going to happen is your job is to complete the sentence out loud with confidence in time before the next sentence appears. And just so that we know that it's completely random, we'll play this a few times and you'll see that all the words are randomly generated. So we're going to have Tristan go, demonstrate 6 of them just to show you how to play, and then you're going to take a turn. Ready, Tristan?
Yes.
Here we go.
A pregnancy test is like stress because it can freak you the F out. Marijuana is like hardwood floors because sometimes they just ground you. Getting a massage is like singing because it takes you into wonderful places. Playing tag is like a butt because it's harder than it looks from the outside. The internet is like a vacation because it's a deep breath of air. Nintendo is like a judge because it can be stern and hard for you.
Great. Perfect. Looks kind of difficult on the outside, I imagine. But let's find out how it actually is. So Hyder, you're gonna play this game a couple of times, and through your experience, we're gonna learn a thing or two about staying in character and about confidence. People are rooting for you, man. You ready?
Yeah, let's go for it. A shot of vodka is like philosophy because it gets you to start thinking. A lion is like fasting because it's always hungry. Having kids is like getting a job because it kills you. Snow is like composting because it's always cold. Building a bridge is like a textbook because there's always so much to do. A paper bag is like going to brunch because you can never stop eating.
Give it up for Hyder. Well done. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
people are impressed. Go ahead. Awesome.
Look at that chat.
Do I need to say
Exploding.
or can I say what I actually thought or how I felt?
Yeah, tell us, how did that go?
Yeah, now you. Yes.
So before I started, like my heart was beating so fast, it was so scary. But once I kind of got into it, then it got a little bit easier.
Yeah. So maybe that's worth pointing out, that speaking gets easier once you start speaking. It's like a law of speaking. The worst part is the anticipation, without a doubt. Once you get into it, it gets easier. And so let's see if we can increase your confidence though when it comes to this game. And what I mean by that is, I know you can speak more confidently than you were giving yourself justice for. Let's find a way to bring that out of you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to speed up the time here. We're going to give you more analogies in less time and see what happens. Cool?
Let's go for it.
Look at that.
Math is like running a marathon because it's so hard. A bowl of ice cream is like a microwave because it's so cold. A prison is like a banana because you fall for it. Taking risks is like learning a language because it never stops. A calendar is like artificial sugar because it's sweet. Retirement is like sleeping in because you never have to wake up. Losing a game is like running because you hate it. Push-ups are like shame because they're difficult.
Wow. Wow. Show some love in the chat. My God.
Solid.
What's going on? Did you are you a plant? Like, did Ultraspeaking pay you to be the volunteer so that it looks amazing from the get-go?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm talking shit. So.
Interesting. Yeah, this is cool.
Rapping.
People are liking what you're doing, man. You've got a quick brain. You're not getting in your own way. You're able, some people can't even read the sentences that quick. You're able to give answers for all of them. So something is going well.
I don't feel like I normally do though, especially in the beginning. It's like hard to think. I feel like my reactions are a lot slower. This is just kind of how it's feeling right now.
Yeah.
But as
Yes.
I'm kind of getting into it.
Yeah. So you're getting into it more, but you're still noticing a little bit, I'd like to call it hesitation maybe.
Yeah.
Like instead of jumping on instinct, there's a little bit of thinking that's holding you back. And so what if we tried to raise the energy a little bit? What if for this next one, all we did was play the same way, but now instead of speaking kind of like you're unsure, what if for these 8, you spoke as if you were entirely certain? Regardless of whether it makes sense or not, can you speak in a way that shows confidence, that shows assertiveness, that shows certainty. It's going to require raising your energy. So let's give it a shot. Here we go.
DNA is like waiting in line because it never ends. Online shopping is like a balloon because it flies. A police car is sweating because it's so loud. Hitting your brother is like vulnerability because I hate him. Self-driving cars are like marriage because it's Tesla. The horizon is meditation because it makes you think. A molecule is like toothpaste because it sorts you out. YouTube is like taking care of plants because Ali Abdul said so.
Yeah, because Ali Abdal said so. Exactly. Did anyone notice anything different in Hyder? Anything at all, like subtle, more volume, more happy, more positive, more fun, more energy?
Natural, calm,
Yeah.
enjoying it, playing, energy. Say again, Hader?
I think someone said posture. I think that's right. When you were saying be more energetic, be more confident, feel more confident, I think I did before starting. I did change my posture.
So we're clearly noticing something changing. All I want to do now is play with the extreme of it. So what would happen if now you and Tristan switch off? He does two, you do two. He does two, you do two. But every time that you take turns, your job is to match his energy level, to raise it and to try and even one-up it. Let's raise our energy to the extremes and see what happens. Can we bring more of that into our speaking? You guys down? Tristan, you're going to go first. We're going to go every two. Ready?
Let's do it. Feeling lonely is like batteries because it empties you. Horse racing is like cleaning out the fridge because it hurts.
Luck is like the feeling of guilt because you win the lottery. French fries are like goal setting because I absolutely love them.
Voting is like a mirror because it's such a reflection. Classical music is like a schedule because it's soothing.
Being born is like a treasure map because we're so lucky. Becoming a billionaire is like the human mind because it's got potential for everything.
Mansions are like buying coffee because they're infinite. Getting sick is like falling in love because it takes you over.
A candle is like a newspaper because it lights up. Refrigerators are like unicorns because they're magical.
Chocolate are like soap bubbles because you should eat them. Plumbers are like politics because they have a certain posture.
High school is like gardening because you don't stop singing. Yoga is like glue because it sticks to you.
Yeah, give it up for Hyder, everybody.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay, let's stop right here for a second. What's going on? What's happening here? Can we just see in the chat what we see differently? Just so Hyder gets a reflection.
It's a new man.
Yeah, man. So people are
So what's interesting to me,
so impressed.
And you came in saying, I'm gonna be the hard one. I don't like speaking. I freeze. This is hard for me. And yet you're killing it. You're top 10, 15% in how you play analogies rapid fire. We've seen thousands of people play now. You're killing it. So what that shows us is that this has nothing to do with skill. And that's the magic with speaking. That's why I'm so confident that every single person here can be an extraordinary speaker, because I already believe that almost all of you are already great speakers. You just can't access it. So if it becomes a game of access and not a game of skill per se, because we've all been speaking since we're 13 months old, then the game is really different. And maybe we've been playing the wrong game when we're trying to get better at speaking. When we're trying to get better, we start over preparing. We start undersleeping. We start freaking out. We're doing all the wrong things because we're trying to make our speaking better. So we're trying to find the 5 tips on Google that are going to help us. We're going to try to see, like, how am I supposed to use my hands, or where am I supposed to look to be more confident? What if it had nothing to do with that?
Yeah.
What if it all had to come from the inside out, from a place of feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's find out. So first of all, just quick yes or no. Does Hyder look and sound more confident than he did from the beginning? Be very honest. You can say no if it's a no, say yes if it's a yes. Okay. So pretty unanimously in 15 minutes from the outside, you appear way more confident. So there is a way to raise our confidence. So what it shows me is that when it's time to show up, we don't give ourselves the boost that we need. We don't speak as confidently as we have access to. And yet we can access it pretty quickly. So Hyder, tell us, what did you have to do internally to be able to access more of this confidence?
I think in, the stuff you said about change your energy and believe that you're confident definitely helped. I still do feel nervous. I don't want to kind of say there's no nerves. I still do feel quite nervous, but it's definitely not like when you first got me in camera. To be honest, you caught me off guard. I really, um, yeah. Since I started talking, it definitely feels better. But the nerves are still there. Uh,
Yes.
Changing
So
your energy levels and changing your posture and some of the things that you said, like put it on and feel confident and don't show people, don't tell them, definitely made a huge difference. So for anyone who's also nervous.
so let's summarize that. You can raise your energy level. You can believe that you're confident, which sounds like nonsense, but for some reason it works, right? And amidst all of that, while you are sounding and looking more confident, you're still feeling nervous. So maybe nervous is not the right word for this type of energy anymore. Maybe we should call it adrenaline. Maybe it's normal to feel adrenaline. You're in front of 100 people speaking. Of course, you're speaking without knowing what you're going to say under extreme time pressure. But of course, the adrenaline's going to be there. That doesn't mean that you're not going to perform to the best of your abilities and that it's not going to look amazing from the outside. And that's what we're seeing here. Well done, man.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, really, really cool. Give it up for Hader. Is it Hader or Hyder, by the way?
It's Ada.
Hader. So I've been calling you by the wrong name for the last 15 minutes. My bad.
It's all right.
Well done, man. What else can we learn about confidence from this? Just from this one little snippet. Yeah, Jane, pressure can help. Absolutely. What else? Yeah, get out of your head. Just do it. The more you do it, the more confident you become at it. Yeah. The thing I love seeing in this type of exercise is that you really can raise your confidence if someone just challenges you and says, hey, I know you can speak more confidently. Show us. And then all of a sudden, you know what to do inside. So, how do we bring that level when it's game time, when it's our first try? What did Matt say here? Amazing.
Let's get someone else to try. Someone else who earlier said no and then ended up saying yes when we called on Hader. Who wants to put their name back down? Safe, what do you mean does the voice tone affect how confident a person sounds?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for example, somebody with a deep voice will look like more confident. For example, I had personally had that I had this problem when I speak in French. I look confident. When I speak in English, I look less confident. First, I mean, you can hear that my voice is not deep, and maybe if it sounds like maybe the mic is really good, that, that's the only reason. But yeah, this
Super.
happened to
I
me.
was like, wow, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. My managers
Well,
always tell me, it's like, hey, you need to speak up, like raise your voice, because you didn't look confident when like you were presenting something, for example. They don't know, but that in a different
yeah,
language or other languages I speak, I sound different. So I don't know.
yeah, that's very common to feel different in different languages. Um, and it has nothing to do with your voice. Your voice is the symptom. It's like seeing somebody who's saying, hey, you have to relax because you look nervous. Relaxing is not the solution. Relaxing is the consequence of a different action that you have to do in order to feel more relaxed. Um, so, what we've noticed when it comes to different languages is that it comes back to the same core. For people who like to drink a glass of wine here or there, um, they they know that after a few glasses of wine, suddenly they're fluent in the language they didn't know how to speak in before. And the only difference is that we're not doubting every word that's coming out of our mouth. We don't constantly have a voice in the saying, nobody can understand me. If only I could speak in the other language where people actually understand me. Because we're not used to not having the words coming to us very naturally and fluidly. So when that's the case, the critic in the back of our mind turns on, and suddenly we get really confused. And that's when the symptoms start appearing. So the more nervous you are, the higher pitched your voice will go, the less you're going to project. So the solution is not projecting your voice more. The solution is to go inside and find a way to silence the thinking brain, silence the critic, and come from a place of more confidence. And when we do that, naturally, your voice is going to feel more settled and you're going to be projecting more. Do you want to give this a go? Do you want to play rapid fire?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah? Well, let's play. This is perfect. And because this is in English, um, I'm happy this is in English for you because we hopefully will notice a difference. Michael, can you pull up the screen?
Yeah, I was just telling Rachel that we haven't forgotten about her.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, ready? Well, the pauses are great, but let's make sure we can hear Safe. Safe, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you see
Okay.
my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's start back up. Let's go at 4 seconds. Let's do 6 rounds. All right, here we go.
Kissing, kissing on the lips is like Americans because it's gross. Blanking is like tiny homes because it's small. The stock market is like startups because it's all messed up. Being hungry is like meeting your soulmate because it hurt. No, sorry. Apple products are like ice skating because oh, And the razor is, sorry, it's more not finding the words than, of course, my heart rate is, I don't know, at least 30% higher. So
No, this is perfect. I'm so glad. I'm so glad we're here right now, because let's play. Let's experiment here. So we're gonna do one thing at a time. The first thing is we can't break character. So notice that the first one you said, the first two you said, they were perfect. But as soon as you finished, you kind of laughed at it. I don't remember what it was. Like, life is like a turtle because it's round. And then you went, and you showed us, I don't feel good about that at all.
yeah.
Let's try to switch that up. So let's try to come with more energy. Just like right now, let's say you're at a 5, that's your baseline energy. I want you to come in not at a 6, but at a 7. So off the bat, you just start the analogies with like an increase in energy. And the rule is you can't break character. So even if you say something absolutely ridiculous, you maintain total outward confidence. Life is like a doctor because the grass is green. Purple is like white because I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're saying. I want you just to come in with energy and project confidence. And let's just experiment with that. Let's see what happens when you go through a whole round doing that. And let's talk about it. You ready?
Let's go. A TED Talk is like curtains because it makes the room dark. Getting a haircut is like tantric yoga because it's hard. A glazed donut is like blue cheese because it's blue. A jacuzzi is like spaceship because it's spacious. A charger is like growing up because it juices you up. Wine bottles are like online dating because it makes you dizzy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had the storm of translation from
Wait, Safe, wait 1 sec.
Oh.
Look at the comments.
Yeah, well, read that chat.
Yeah, notice what's happening right now. It's so important. What people are telling you and what you are focusing on yourself. Totally different, right? Yeah. This is the trap of staying how can I say this? This is the difference between I enjoy speaking, I'm a good communicator, I don't enjoy speaking, I'm a bad communicator. It's really not about even the skill level that we put out. It's really about what we tell ourselves each time it finishes. And if you're like any human being, there's going to be great things and there's going to be things that didn't go so well. It's much harder to see the things that didn't go so well from the outside. It's much easier for you to see them because you're the one that's speaking. So if you're focusing on this is how you will remember this experience. And it will add one more drop to your identity around it. But everybody else is noticing something completely different. And so we have to start matching our perception to reality. What you did here was really, really, really interesting. All of a sudden, you came with an energy that showed us instantly, wow, this guy's not kidding around. So we want to see even more of that. Even more of that. Except this time, from start to finish, even after you finish, you stay in character. You don't even tell us how nervous you were or how difficult it was. Shall we give it a try?
Yep, let's go.
Let's do it.
Foam rollers are like teamworks because it's a bunch of people. A surprise party is like broken fingers because it hurts. A dentist is like taking a shower because you need to get ready for it. Popsicles are like breads because they are sweet. Breaking up your phone in public is like public speaking because it hurts. Mushrooms are like cheese because they are tender.
Yes. Stay in it. Stay in it. Because this was a remarkable example of what it is like to make mistakes with confidence.
If I keep going and not overthink, and it's hard to, as you said, like I really, it's like great precious advice. It's like it's not, it doesn't look the same on the outside, and it's way easier on the outside than it's like when I said I was translating, I couldn't find the words. English is not I'm not native, and it's like I don't know, it's like making it 100 times or maybe 1,000 times more difficult than like just looking on the like on the back end, not the front end. And
Yeah, exactly. Jesse, I have a quick question for you. You can unmute yourself or you can type in the chat. You said, make mistakes with confidence. This is going on my fridge today. Tell me what you saw in Safe doing this, and what did it mean to you?
I think it's like you said, it's just very easy to focus on the things that he did wrong, but all of us just saw the positive that he did. We weren't even thinking that micro, like that close. Yeah.
So internal, we are always going to be aware of what doesn't go perfectly. But when we can start shifting our focus to just letting that go, all of a sudden we have the mental momentum to get back into our speaking. Right? So we say like great speakers aren't great at speaking, they're great at recovering. They're just really good at not paying attention to their mistakes that much. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to go 2 and 2, and let's see. We're going to have Jesse go, and we're going to have Safe go, and it's going to go 2 Jesse, 2 Safe, 2 Jesse, 2 Safe, and you're each going to outmatch each other's confidence. Ready?
Yes.
Jesse, you're going to start.
Okay.
Here we go. 2 each.
A pumpkin is like paper because it tastes like the Starbucks cup. Christmas is like rap music because it kind of sucks. I don't know. Scuba diving is...
Scuba diving is like breaking up because it's deep. A sponge is like a microphone because it looks like it.
Leaving home is like anxiety because, I don't know, you can get away from your parents.
One more.
Visiting your grandma is like skydiving because it's scary.
Bodybuilder is like a CPR because it has a high heart rate. A jellyfish is like a dinosaur because it's old.
Driving fast is like headphones because it's cool. Eating watermelon is like expired pickles because it's sweet.
Time travel is like artificial intelligence because it's sci-fi. A bicycle is like a podcast because it needs 2 persons.
Pancakes are like scarecrows because they can be black if you burn them. Cartwheels are like alcohol because it's kind of fun.
An iPhone is like a daydreaming because it's expensive. Rolling the windows is like texting because it's dangerous.
Give it up for the 2 of them. Yeah, well done. Yeah, Jesse's a natural. Yeah, so is Safe.
Thank you.
Safe, what did you learn? What did you take away from this experience?
As I was taking notes, and now I'm realizing that, like showing what Hydro experiment, and like I see that I just applied all the notes I was taking and I've took, and it's first, it's way different, like inside and outside. Second thing, the first try my heart rate was, let's say 120, 130. Now it's same when I was listening to Hydro. It's like when I was not under the spotlight, no pressure. So now it's like I started speaking without any pressure, even that I had the timer in front of me, and I start thinking less about what words I should choose, or I'm gonna make a mistake, or this is not correct English, or so that's like what I've learned in this few minutes. It's like, it's a game changer, it's life changing, of course. It's like the more you practice, I can imagine how this will affect, let's say, my next YouTube video, for example.
Amazing.
Yeah, so thank you.
Can I add some quick, like my natural inclination was to bitch at the end of it because I was like, oh, like I was trying to put up my stand-up desk. It's like midnight here. I can't think. And I was like, I just stopped myself. I'm like, no one cares. This is it. We just did the task and that's it. Yeah, we just finished there.
There's one of the mistakes we make, the easy traps, is to confuse spontaneous speaking with curated speaking or writing or anything that allows for editing. It's two different worlds. When we're speaking, there's a start point and there's an entire journey, and at one point it ends and you can never go back in time. So it's like surf, and you have to, the only way you can match your potential is if you are totally inside, in total flow, if your mindset matches your skill set. But a lot of us confuse that, and because there's this part of our brain that wants control. There's part of our brain that wants to make sure that everything we're going to say is the right thing before we say it. But that's not how speaking works. That's not how we are wired as humans. We can't do that. If you do that, you're going downhill. That's when, even when you start speaking, nervousness goes up. That's if you're in your head and you're not in your body in flow. And so what you did there in saying, I'm not going to say a word, I'm just going to be in it, is allowing you naturally to hit more of your potential, to boost, or the other way, to boost this guy up so that you your potential. And that's what Safe you did as well. It was beautiful, even to watch you turn on your camera and just like blast in with full energy. It's like, whoa, they're two different human beings. One of them dove in headfirst and said, I'm just going to go into this and I'm going to flow with it, and whatever happens, happens. And the other Safe, the Safe from a minute before that, was sitting back, trying to control everything as it was coming out with low energy, trying to minimize the risk. And in doing so, actually making it much, much, much harder on himself.
Yeah. There's this question from Elizabeth here. I get really red in the face when I get nervous, and then my character starts breaking because I think people start noticing it. Any advice on how to get over that? Elizabeth, I feel like you know the answer to this.
I just unmute myself.
Yeah, tell us.
So is it just, I don't know how to get over it, just do it? And I'm not sure. I feel I'm starting to get red now. Just when I
Can
myself.
we pin Elizabeth's video real quick to the
Gosh.
Can anybody tell that Elizabeth is red? Yes, no? Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Probably it
Invisible.
starts now.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what's interesting, Elizabeth. I used to get red all the time. That was my thing. I sweat in the armpits. I get clammy hands, and hey, welcome, you and me alike. And I get red during school, like my worst nightmare. But not only at school, my worst nightmare would be in a group of friends. I say something that sounds dumb, something like that, and then I think everybody starts looking at me and there's a silence. And now all I can think about is, oh my goodness, I'm red, and everybody can tell that I'm red. And then I don't know how to smile anymore, and I'm like, it feels like nothing's working in my body. But the crazy thing is, you are not red. You're not flushed. And I didn't see you flush at all from the second you started speaking all the way to this moment. And so here's the secret. The secret is when you start feeling the symptoms, they are still completely invisible to everyone. And they're invisible for a while. It's like you have this beautiful buffer. Same thing if you feel like, oh, my voice is shaking. Everybody can tell my voice is not normal. Like Saif, you might have that as well. Nobody can tell. And we've tried this. We've done this so many times where somebody like you, exactly. Somebody says, oh, I was so nervous. Okay, raise your hand if you noticed they were nervous. Nobody raises their hand. Oh, I was so red. Raise your hand if you saw they were red. Impossible. So what happens is you can make yourself red. And how do you do that is you allow that voice that is talking to you, that is saying, oh God, we're red. Now everybody can notice. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? What are they going to think of me? If you allow that, your focus to be on that, then eventually after a while, well, your body is just, you're keeping your body in overdrive. And after minutes, eventually, yeah, you're going to turn red. So the secret here is just understanding that the moment you feel you're red, the moment you feel your voice quivering, the moment you feel your hands shaking or whatever it is that you feel, nobody else can see it. So you just refocus your attention back into speaking, into what you want to say, and you let go of that, knowing that nobody can tell.
Yeah,
and you'll just feel it just like a swell. It goes up and then it comes right back down.
and look, even if they could tell, even if they could tell, like I think it was Saif who made a bunch of mistakes on his last analogies rapid fire, the second to last one. He probably thought, oh man, everybody noticed that, right? That's okay. We're all gonna have things that we don't want people to see that accidentally slip out or accidentally show. That's not the issue. The issue is giving that so much attention in our mind that it overtakes us and ruins the rest of our speaking. So it's really about how we handle these mistakes or how we handle these symptoms that dictates everything. And so if nervousness is a wave, it's going to come down a lot quicker if we stop focusing, like Tristan said, on the blushing, on the face, and instead tell ourselves, no, keep going.
Okay. Yeah, because most of the time I'm just apologizing. You know, I make a mistake while speaking and then I start apologizing. Oh, sorry. And then everything is completely, yeah. Then I get more nervous.
So you feel it and then you break character. And when you break character, now you've shown everybody that you're nervous. So now.
Yeah, then it gets worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like.
Thank you very much for advice.
Think about an audience who comes to see a play, and one actor forgets their line, but then says another line, so skips a line. They're not going to apologize to the audience because the audience doesn't know what the line was. They just keep going, and nobody notices. But the actor notices really deeply. The actor, the whole body is shaking with the awareness that I just made a mistake. And maybe I should apologize. That's why we stay in character.
Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll try it. No, I just wanted to say, because what Tristan said earlier, it's like I feel kind of, I don't want to seem dumb. And I always have then the feeling that I seem dumb to people when I make a mistake. And probably that's a kind of a deeper, probably goes deeper. So I try to work on that.
Yeah. Well, that's very common as well. I think we all have this fear, and I think it's actually deeply rooted in who we are as human beings. If you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, if you speak up and you say something dumb, you can get rejected. And if you're rejected from your tribe and you're alone, then you're going to be eaten by the wild beast. So we all have this, we all want to be part of the community. And we all have this irrational fear that if we say something out of line, something dumb, that, well, people are going to look at us differently and potentially reject us. And that's why analogies rapid fire is such a powerful game, because you can't not say something dumb in that game. You're always, if you put enough in a row, you're always going to end up not having something to say and have to say something And if you play the game right, you're going to say something dumb, and you're training yourself every single rep. So every 2 or 3 seconds, you have an opportunity to train the skill of staying in character and holding this appearance of confidence while knowing that you've said something that feels nonsensical to you. And the craziest thing is that if you play this in a group, you notice that most of the things that didn't make sense to you, that even sounded dumb to you, the audience actually finds a way to make meaning of it. And so they'll say, oh no, that was awesome. That made so much sense. I actually thought you were brilliant. And in your mind, you're thinking, I feel like I made no sense. And this is one of the magical pieces of speaking.
Okay, thank you very much for your advice. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Guys, could I just share a quick point that might also help the group?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sorry
go ahead,
to
Mike.
jump in. Yeah, so for a number of years I was in a rock band, and we'd have to perform in front of, massive crowds, sometimes of like several thousand people. And in the early days, I used to get super, super nervous. And in fact, I never stopped getting nervous, but I got really good at hiding that I was nervous. And somewhere along the line, I figured out that if you look like you're having a good time, the audience think you're having a good time. And it might actually be that you're like crippled inside with nerves and like super nervous and, so worried. But if outwardly you just look like you're having a great time, people have got no idea. And like this took me so many gigs to learn. And the second point is that it's so hard to look like you're relaxed and having fun when you're not inside. But it is a skill that you can practice, like a muscle that you can train. And when you can kind of look like you're having a good time, your physiology catches up. So you can actually sort of force yourself out of the nerves.
Yeah.
And they're two things that I never would have dreamt of. Like, I never would have thought both of those things were possible if I hadn't actually been through it myself. People don't know. You look like you're having a good time, they think you are. And secondly, you can force your physiology to get out of that nervous mode.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd throw that out there in case it helps some of the people here.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, this is important because it's really important. Why do we train staying in character? It seems a little inauthentic. It's like pretending to have fun when you're not having fun. That seems like bad advice in the sense that that's kind of fake. But what tends to happen? What tends to happen is when you stay in character or when you do something on the outside, you're basically hiding your nervousness from other people. You're hiding that feeling of fear from others. What happens? Well, everybody gives you a positive response because nervousness is really hard to tell anyway, to see if you don't show it. So you get a positive response from the crowd, like I imagine you did, Mike. People are like, wow, that was great. You look like you're enjoying yourself. So finally, you don't have to walk around so scared anymore because you've built this little shield of like, as long as I look like this on the outside, I can relax a little bit because nobody can tell. And that relaxing of, oh, I finally have a little shield, that relaxing is what the goal is in the first place. And through the relaxation, Mike, I imagine you started having more fun. Now that you weren't so worried about how you come across, well, now you can focus on the music or on the speaking. And suddenly that shield disappears. You don't need it anymore. But you did need it at some point just to be able to get yourself to relax a little bit. So it's kind of a means to an end to get where you want to go. Did I capture your experience accurately?
Yeah, very much so. And of course you perform better when you are relaxed and you feel more natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just like anything. It's something that you have to do again and again to get better at it. And certainly, it's not something I really struggle with now because I did it for so long. But listening to you guys speak today, there's so many like everything that you guys are saying. That's all stuff that I figured out the hard way in front of thousands of people. But yeah, it really does work what you guys are laying out here today because I've seen it work firsthand.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, Mike. I do think everyone has to learn it the hard way, though. Just if you already know the concepts, it goes a lot faster. But this is the trap, biggest trap in learning anything. Learning is one of my deepest obsessions, is thinking you can learn something by thinking about it or reading about it or watching about it. The only way you can get better at anything is by doing the thing. And Mike had to go through many, many iterations, many instances of being the very uncomfortable and in a sense faking it or putting on that persona. And only after a while did it start working. And now everything's getting put together. But if you know that at the start, it goes a lot faster, but you still have to do it. There is no way, there's no way to feeling confident without the reps. One of my favorite definitions of confidence comes from sports psychologist Michael Gervais. And he says confidence is earned self-talk. Earned self-talk, that means that you can say, I got this, before doing something. But you've earned the right to say, I got this. And how have you earned the right to say it? You've earned the right to say, I got this, by multiple positive reference points in your past, where you were in a similar situation. You said, I got this, and it worked for you. That's why analogies, rapid fire, these types of games are putting yourself out there. That's why I said this in the beginning. That's why everybody who answered yes probably followed this road of seeking out opportunities to speak, seeking out opportunities to have to speak under pressure. They have a ton of positive reference points in the background. They know from experience that when it's time to speak, the moment they're going to open their mouth, everything's going to be okay. So before they speak, they can say, I got this. And so I think that's really important. There's a space here, this zone of discomfort before it starts getting really fun that you have to go through. But here's the magical part, is that this zone is fixed. If you go through it, then you're in the fun part, and it's there for every single one of you. So seek out that discomfort, seek out the hard side of things.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there to speak, and you'll make it to the other side.
So we're approaching a beautiful moment right here. We're going to call this not intermission, but sort of like that. We're going to call this the first ending. In other words, if you feel like you got to go, if you got a ton of value out of this and you feel complete, this is the perfect stopping point, and we're going to end here officially. But unofficially, we're going to go another half hour, and we're going to go deeper into one more concept around speaking. And especially, I think it was Rachel, who I still haven't forgotten about. If you can stick around, you can be our volunteer to demonstrate a different part of speaking. But if you are at time and you want to break and you want to end this session, then Ali has been kind enough to sponsor a month of the simulator. Angus just put the promo code in the chat. That simulator is access to all the games, including the one you've seen today, as well as like 8 others for training your speaking. And so I'm sure you'll get an email about that as well. Somebody said, please answer Apna's question. Let's do it. What was it?
I think I'll post this too. This is our course for those who are about to leave. You can take a look at this. It's a 6-week course where we not only go over all of this in depth, but offer the opportunity to put in all of the reps so that you come out of it feeling like a different human being. But with that said, was ums and ahs. So first of all, I don't believe that neither of us have said or ah during the session. I'm sure I have. I'm sure we have. But I want to give us a similar answer to previously. Ums and ahs are a symptom of something. If you're saying or ah all the time, you're probably feeling very uncomfortable and locked into that place. And so if you train yourself to be more into your speaking, to access flow more regularly when you speak, and suddenly you notice that there are much fewer ums and ahs, much fewer filler words that come out. The other point you said, I think you, practice replacing it with pauses. Well, pausing is the most powerful tool in all of speaking. If you have access to the breath, you can unlock anything that your mind has to offer. It's also the toughest one to bring in to your speaking, because, well, for a lot of reasons, but mostly, someone mentioned in the beginning, this feels like therapy. Mostly because just being, not speaking, and being, sitting there in front of a group of people is very tied into our self-worth. And so it feels like a lot to stop speaking and to take space without adding value. But if we train those two skills, so the skill of entering flow and being into our speaking, which is, bringing the confidence, which is a little bit of what we saw with the volunteers a little bit earlier, and we add to that the ability to build the awareness to know when to pause and how to pause, and then the skill to actually do it, filler words take a back seat.
Yeah. Disappear entirely. Cool. Amazing. Who did I not forget about? Was it Rachel? I don't think I can hear you very well. Oh yeah. Very, very low. Is there a way you can?
Yeah, let me try. Is that better?
Oh my goodness. So much better.
Right,
Cool.
sorry, I don't, for some reason my mic was completely turned down. Is that a bit too loud?
No, this is great.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good.
Wonderful.
I thought I would just like throw my hat in the ring. So
Well, I thought that that's a beautiful way to move forward, and perhaps you could help introduce our final lesson of the day to those that want to stick around. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a baseline for your speaking. We'll give you a random speech title and about a minute or so to speak on it. And then from that, we could see perhaps an area where we can play with your speaking and find a way to improve it. But we
sounds
won't.
good. That's why we're here, right?
Yes. We won't do any accent work, Daryl.
I already saw that. That's like one of my things. Like, I'm like, oh, the accent, but I can't change that. I've just got to roll with that, right?
I would switch with you in a heartbeat.
That's a superpower.
Yeah. Amazing. And by the way, what is your relationship with speaking?
Oh, I don't know what you mean by that.
Like when it comes to speaking on camera, when it comes to speaking in front of an audience, on Zoom in front of strangers, what's your experience usually? Do you love it?
I don't love it. I'm happy to do it. I definitely don't love it. I am quite apprehensive about starting a YouTube channel because because obviously I don't feel as confident. I tell you where I feel really confident. If I know my subject matter inside out, and I feel very well practiced. And like, especially if I've done it before and I've said it before and I'm like a subject matter expert, then do you know what? I could happily talk about that and roll with it and present really well. Obviously that is a tiny proportion of anything you ever talk about, that you've sort of been living it for so many years that you know it so well. But if I feel like I'm not a complete expert in it, which is 99.9% of things that I'd ever be talking on, because I've got quite a high bar for myself as to when I would feel sort of expert in something. And then, yeah, at that point, I would start to become nervous and then less relaxed. And then all of the things everyone's talked about would come in.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we put you in a situation where you don't know what you're going to speak about, you find out and you have 3 seconds to think about it before you start speaking, that's probably going to be harder than something you've prepared for a week.
Oh my God, 100 million%. And another thing that I have a tendency to do is when I'm nervous, which you touched on just before and in your previous comment, is when I'm nervous, I have a tendency to speak quite quickly. And I think that's like a sort of accent thing as well. And then combined with the fact that I have an accent then means your message is much less powerful, because obviously people find it harder to follow what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I feel like we all have a sense of how you speak just by hearing you speak. So let's see if we can't play with it. For the next 20 minutes, we're just going to play with your speaking. We're going to stretch it in different ways and see if we can't notice a difference. And if we do notice a difference, we'll reflect. Do we like it more? Is it more powerful? Does it serve you? Let's find out.
Cool.
Cool. Amazing. Share my screen here. Well, let's first start Conductor. Conductor's one of my favorite games, and it's really, really fun. So the way you play Conductor is you're going to get a random speech title. And when you start speaking, you're going to start speaking at a 5. A 5 is your normal speaking voice, so it's basically doing what you've been doing. But every few seconds, the numbers are going to change. And your job is to change your energy with the number. So if it's a 6, how can you do something to show us that it's not a 5 anymore, but rather you've raised your energy to a 6? And if it's a 9, well, a 9 is going to be so much different than a 6. And your job is to just follow the numbers. Let the conductor guide your speech in whatever the conductor deems best. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So 5's your normal speaking voice. A 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 is going to be your opportunity to figure out, what does that mean? Because you don't want to necessarily lower your energy and seem as if you're bored by your own speaking. You want to use your energy in a different way. Let's find out what that even means. Cool?
Yeah, cool.
Does anyone in the chat actually have a speech topic that you'd like to see Rachel speak about instead of us suggesting a title? Just type it in the chat. Cats knitting. Yeah, let's do my YouTube journey. Ready, Rachel?
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, so my YouTube journey began when I started my business. So I'm an academic coach. I work with GCSE and A-level students to help them gain the skills, the will, and the mindset to achieve their academic potential. And this is a subject that I am really passionate about. But I realized that actually, if I was to scale my business and to really make my business grow, that actually I needed to help more people understand about what I do and about what academic coaching is, because it's something I feel that could really change things for people. And at the moment, the only thing that people have to fill this gap is a tutor, and they go along and they learn lots more about subjects like maths or physics. But actually, interestingly, similar to what we're talking about today, achieving our potential at anything is actually very much tied up in our self-worth, as well as important things like obviously the academic parts of study skills and having the motivation in order to really achieve what it is that we want to achieve. So my YouTube journey is really about getting my message out there and helping people understand what it is that I do.
Give it up for Rachel. Yeah, well done. Someone said this is another paid actor for Ultraspeaking.
I wish.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so already people are noticing wonderful things. What's something we notice in the chat just from this alone? And then we're going to play further.
Is that a question to me?
I'm asking the chat first. Some people really like the 10. They said very confident, brilliant. What else? Commanding. And then if I scroll down, very fluid. Yeah. Cool. Some people said not much variation, which is interesting. Which is interesting because we're going to explore that as well. But what did you feel in this one, Rachel?
I think interesting about the posture point. I found that when I was giving more energy, I sort of sat up and I used my hands. And then when I was giving lower energy, I had a tendency to more slouch down and to talk more intimately as if it was, more of an intimate message. Whereas I felt as well like the really high energy is more salesy, like more. Yeah.
At first, it might seem salesy because it probably doesn't feel very natural. But the goal is for each of these to feel quite natural. And perhaps, well, Tristan, what did you notice as you were watching Rachel go through Conductor?
It's a game. It's an exercise to explore our full range, and we can use it. Well, there's always this fight in our mind. The fight of, I want to look good and make sense, and I want to learn and grow. Oftentimes those are not compatible. And I'm just curious what happens when you put on the, I'm only interested in playing this game as if it were a game, where the point is to see how high can I go? How explosive can I be when I hit a 10? How high can I go? Make that the mindset. Not how much can I make sense and how good can I look or how it's to be a pitch anymore. Now I just want to see if I'm at a 2 and suddenly a 10 comes up, how can I blast to a 10? And the only way to do that is opening your mouth without knowing what's going to come out and just blah. And then if it comes down to a 2 or a 1, to completely slow down and let the snow globe in your mind give it time to settle before you even start speaking, just like, and then notice what happens when I think only about energy first. What happens to the content as a result of that?
Cool. Let's give it a go.
You willing to play that way?
Yeah, so basically this time you want me to be quite exaggerated. So you want to really see like the difference between a 10 and a 2 is like amplify the difference.
Amplify everything.
Okay.
While still, well, first, just amplify everything. So let's just see what happens when that's the only indication.
So here I'm just going to go all out, amplify
all
like
out.
craziness, like let's go for it.
Yes.
If you see, I'll give you this. If you see, so there's a slide that says breathe. During that slide, you're not allowed to talk. And the point is only to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when you take that breath out, you just let everything melt off of you. No, you don't think about the content or anything. You just feel your relax with that out breath. And what I recommend is if you see a 2 or a 1, to stop speaking and take a short breath before you start speaking again, to allow yourself to connect to that level.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see
Here
it.
we go. Let's give you a random speech title this time around. Here we go.
Wow, my thoughts in the corporate world, trying to collect my thoughts. So most of my working career has been in the corporate world, and I think there is so much to learn in the corporate world, and there can be so many fantastic things that when you reflect on it,
Good.
are there to sort of be learned and observed. And I think there can be a lot of bureaucracy in the corporate world. I think bureaucracy can be really frustrating for a lot of people. And actually, I think
Yes.
as people perhaps have worked in the corporate world for a long time, then
Yes.
they can feel, I need to do something
Yes.
different. And I guess corporate worlds are all very different. So my personal perspective on a corporate world will be very different to other people's perspective on a corporate world.
Yeah. Yeah. Something magical happened in this one. Magical.
Truly.
Who noticed it? Yeah.
More variance
Yeah.
than Bitcoin's price. Hairs on the back of my neck. Love it.
Yeah. Something in that pause or in that breath. Something happened for you. Did you feel it?
I think it's hard in a way because you're so in the moment. But my instant reflection would be that when you pause, like I deliberately used like breathe through my diaphragm, and I think it does give you a sense of calm and sort of ground you.
Yeah. I'd like to lean into that. We have this game here called the Snow Globe, and I think it might become your best friend. I don't know. I don't know your friendships and how strong they are, but this is a big candidate for it. The Snow Globe is really simple. This game is entirely about injecting breaths, pauses into your speaking. And we call it the Snow Globe because we think of speaking as a snow globe that keeps shaking the more we speak. And if we speak and speak and speak and never stop, then pretty soon we're not going to see that idea behind the snow, and we lose connection to it. So this game is about reconnecting to that snow globe, and the way it works is you're going to get a very random speech title, perhaps, and your job is to craft a speech around it on the fly. And there's really no rules other than as soon as this timer completes, you stop speaking. And during that breath, you connect with what you're saying. And you see if you can get a finer sense on what it is that you're trying to say. And then you keep speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking. But eventually, this snow globe will begin to count down again. And this is your cue to wrap up your sentence. And connect once more. You ready to give it a shot?
Yeah, Ali did it. Ali talked about this in one of his videos. I don't know if he did a recent video. He talked about this analogy of the snow globe. I think you guys must have given it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna find out what's so powerful about this analogy. So can somebody give Rachel a speech topic? Cats and cake, unicorns. How about a let's do kids. Kids is a great speech title. It's very open-ended, so it allows for many directions. Your focus here is just to connect with the breath every time that the timer finishes. Here we go.
I have two children, one girl and one boy. My little girl is called Ava and she is 8, and my little boy is called Teddy and he is 5. Both of my children are very energetic and love riding on their bikes and playing outdoors and giving me shows and bring me a lot of joy. At the moment, my daughter is actually off school. She is homeschooling because we have had the joys of a COVID positive test in her class. So this week, interrupting my YouTube progress has been the pleasure of homeschooling. Something else that's probably very poignant to me is that both my children have hearing loss. So they both wear hearing aids, but they both have, I'm really proud of the fact that they both have access to great speech, especially poignant for this topic, because actually having access to speech is so key to enjoying all of life. And something that made me think of this was a TED talk I watched actually once on how to be a great speaker. And they talked about this speech being like an instrument.
Keep going. Give us an ending.
And they talked about the importance of speech being like an instrument and your voice box being like, yeah, a gift that you have to share with the world and the most important way that you communicate. But the kind of punchline of that talk, I guess, on how to speak really well, and her key tip was actually that all of great speaking rests in the diaphragm, and that is your most important tool to speak well. But I haven't yet learned exactly how to do that, hence why I thought I would give this a whirl.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done. Yeah. Something really cool happens with the breath. Did anybody notice what happened each time that Rachel took a pause and then started speaking again? Did anyone notice what happened to the content? Yeah, Ryan says the topic became deeper and more personal. Anders said she grounded herself. At each breath point, she pivots to a new important fact. It got deeper stories. It got clear. It became powerful. Yeah. So what's up with that? Take us on the inside, Rachel. What did you notice in the breath?
I don't know if consciously I was deliberately getting deeper. I guess I was sort of thinking about finding, what else am I going to say? And but yes, I guess the topics did get deeper. I guess what the power of the breath, it allows you to reflect. And I guess as an audience member, it does draw you in. It does almost the opposite of what you might, and it's a bit counterintuitive, isn't it? That actually when someone pauses, it draws you into what they're saying more.
Mm. Mm. And forget about the audience for just a second. What does it do for the speaker?
I think it does calm you and it settles, it makes you feel more relaxed.
What else?
It helps you think about what you're going to say and formulate your words.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you went to... I have this theory that if you didn't take a breath, you would have talked about how your kids are, 8 and I forget the other age, and how their names are this and that, and one of them likes math and one of them likes this, and you went on this vacation together, and today they're and the speech would have kind of kept rolling on this surface level that we all start out with. But each breath allowed you to go from kids to homeschooling. From homeschooling to, well, my kids have hearing loss, to, but there's this great access to speech that you're so grateful for them. In fact, there's this TED Talk on speaking and what is the power of speaking, and look where you started and where you ended. That to me is magical. That's how you become a subject expert on any subject. It's not because you know a ton about kids. It's because the breath helps you connect to what you do know. And somehow you're able to access the idea that's most meaningful to you in this moment.
Mm-hmm. And probably more interesting than, like you say, just some random spiel about kind of indescript or unforgettable things.
Yeah. And you need both. You need the surface level random thoughts at the beginning to help to give you momentum, to shake the snow globe.
Mm.
But you also need to take a pause and check for directions. Pull over, check the map. What if I went here? And you drive a little, drive a little, drive a little. Pause. Ooh. What if I went a little deeper here? And so one path leads you to the next, which inspires the next, which inspires the next. And we can only kind of step ladder our way to something deep and meaningful if we have a tool to jump from thought to thought.
Do you notice, is that what would normally happen with anyone who does this exercise? Is that as they breathe, they would generally the talk gets more interesting or gets more meaningful?
Shall we find out?
Yeah.
Who would like to give it a go?
Thank you, by the way. That was really helpful. It was interesting.
It was a pleasure to watch, Rachel.
Truly. Thank you, Rachel.
Muaz, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Hi, yes, you are.
You want to give it a go?
Yeah, let's do
Wonderful.
it.
Perfect. What's your YouTube channel about? By the
My
way,
YouTube channel is about the inner lives of software engineers.
the
I
inner
believe
lives of software engineers.
of software engineers.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's make that your speech title.
Oh, okay. Good.
There we go. And so, again, on the breath, your focus is not even to think of what to say next necessarily. Um, if you're a software engineer, maybe think of it as like you're flushing the cache.
Flushing the
You're
cache.
you're erasing all the short-term memory of what has just happened, and you're kind of resetting your brain and connecting with, well, what's here for me now? And
That's a
then you
great
speak and you
reference.
speak and you speak, and then you stop speaking on the breath, and you kind of reset again. You allow yourself to detach from the train of thought you were on, just to see, is there anything beyond it? Here we go. The inner life of a software engineer.
So software engineering is this very weird profession that goes between being very solitary, almost antisocial, to being extremely collaborative. And not unlike writers, actually. Every day, software engineers have times where they're glued to a screen, spending time mostly in their head. I find these times incredibly painful. In fact, one of my goals during COVID was to get better at this. As you know, with the whole world, we were all going through this time of a lack of social contact. I decided that I'm going to face this fear and see where I end up. I think there's an incredible solitude, but also an incredible loneliness in that in those parts of our days.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
The other part of a software engineer's life is extreme collaboration, having these very tight-knit conversations about the most pedantic details that we really care about.
Yeah.
And I think what's incredibly challenging is going between the two on a daily basis.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
There it
I
is.
often find that most of my colleagues are stuck in one place or the other.
Mhm. What do we notice? What's a reflection we can offer, Muaz? And meanwhile, maybe you can tell us what that was like for you.
Yeah. Are you addressing me, Michael?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what it was like.
Yeah, I think what Rachel noticed was definitely true. I found that in the silences, I had to confront the feelings I really wanted to escape. I would have really wanted to just kind of bulldoze through to the funnier parts and the more interesting, so-called parts. And in the silence, I had to realize that no, actually, I'm gonna have to speak about this.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes in the silence, we don't know what comes up. And there it is, kind of staring us in the face.
I could never have gotten where I got had I not paused.
Yeah. I think that sums it up beautifully. I know we're short on time here, and unfortunately we have to get going. How do we end this beautifully? Well, first of all, I just want to mention where to go if you want more of this type of stuff. We have a bunch of free resources on YouTube, a podcast on these topics. So if you type Ultraspeaking on YouTube, or if you go to ultraspeaking.com, we wrote a short book called Own It. You can join our newsletter and you'll get it in your inbox. All of these topics, staying in character, silencing the inner critic, letting the snow globe settle, all of that stuff in video and in audio. You can follow us on Twitter as well. That's, I think, where we get to share and test out our ideas as well. So if somebody could post that Twitter, maybe I will when I stop speaking. And lastly, email us. We love getting questions on this stuff. So if something confused you today, then of course, send a question. And again, Ali has given everyone access to the simulator, so you can use the snow globe, use Conductor to practice your YouTube video, or use rapid fire analogies to get in the right confident mindset so that when you do press record, you've got this energy to it. Yeah. So I'm going to give Tristan the final word. I want to say thank you on my end, and it's been a pleasure. I hope you guys stay in contact.
Yeah, truly. I'll just leave you with wrapping up with what I said in the beginning. And speaking is a skill. It's available to all of us. And when you start separating curated content from this spontaneous impromptu speaking, which is the thing we do 80% of the time, start training for this to become more and more comfortable, more and more excited rather than nervous, more and more into what you're saying, then the magic of speaking is that because it's tied into who we are as human beings, it starts changing your entire life. When you get better at this, when you start feeling better expressing yourself, better being who you are, and trusting that you have something to say when it's time for you to speak, your whole life starts shifting. And it's a beautiful feeling. So whether you use Ultraspeaking or any other tool or course or whatever out there, I just want to say that I believe that this is a truly worthy pursuit, and there are no lost causes when it comes to speaking. Thanks so much for being so dynamic in the chat. What an amazing community Ali has created here. Thanks, Angus, for moderating, getting this working so smoothly. It was really easy for us. This was a wonderful time, and I hope to see you all around.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm sure everyone really appreciated you being here, and hopefully everyone can use that promo code to use your exercises. You've also got enrollment open for your next cohort, right, at the moment?
Yeah, we do. It's called Fundamentals. I just shared the link there. And 6 weeks. It starts on June 29. Yeah, 5 weeks. Yeah. June 29 is the start date. Enrollment's open right now. And it's a real deep dive into this with basically a transformation guaranteed because of the 3-to-1 coach to student ratio. So it's just it's the best thing we've ever created. And if you want to join, it's going to be fabulous.
Nice, cool. Thanks very much for joining, guys. Thanks everyone for joining this session, nearly 2 hours, which has been really good of them to give up that much time. Social club is in 5 minutes. If you want more talking, then come along to that. If you're tired of today, then no worries. We shall see you tomorrow. We've got Matthew Dix coming tomorrow to give a guest workshop, so hopefully see you then. If not, live session on Thursday at 4 o'clock, and see you then. Thanks everyone for joining. Yep, see you around.